Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs. Today we're going to go over how I painted the French Heavy Cavalryman made by North Star Military Figures. This is for the Silver Bayonet game. So this is Joseph McCullough's horror, Napoleonic, Gothic game, all that stuff. But you can use it for other games. But let's talk about how we painted this guy. And it takes about 3 or so hours, depending on dry time. But I primed him with Rustoleum Gray Fillable Primer, easily available at any Lowe's or Home Depot. And I used the following Army Painter paints: Deep Blue, Dragon Red, Uniform Gray, Oak Brown, Matte Black, Gunmetal, Mummy Robes, Hemp Rope, Greedy Gold, Elven Flesh, Leather Brown, Shining Silver, Pure Red, Bright Gold, Skeleton Bone, Daemonic Yellow, Kobold Skin, and Electric Blue. Take a deep breath here. And then I used Citadel's Stirland Mud, Nuln Oil, and Reikland Fleshshade. But overall, a beautiful model. And let's go ahead and get this guy all painted up. To start painting this guy, I primed him Rustoleum Gray Fillable Primer. It's one of those fillable in sands I like to use on 3D print jobs, but it sticks great to metal and it's really cheap. And to start the painting, I'm going to use some Army Painter Deep Blue, and this is pretty much just going to be on his tunic. It's a new bottle. Still breaking it in. Oh crap, a bunch of my paints went everywhere. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to finish painting this guy and go clean that up. And don't worry about this not appearing to be a dark enough blue. Put on one thick coat and then we'll go, at the later stage we'll darken it down a little bit. So not to worry. Pretty much just the sleeves. That's all you really see. Now with the tails, on the French cavalry, it appears that there was a yellow interior, so when this is folded back, this will be yellow, but the outside, the tunic, is going to be the blue. So I'm going to get blue part done since we got it out. With the blue dry, we're now going to use Army Painter Dragon Red. And where we're going to hit is the epaulettes here. And there's this little fringe that sticks out from underneath the armor. We're also going to do it right here. We're going to do it on both sides. If we run over a little bit, putting on the red, we're going to clean that up at a later stage. Some other colors. Okay. Just keep blocking in these epaulettes. Alright, forgot to tell you to do the little plume, the side of the helm. It was looking at the wrong direction. You need to do that in red too. You don't have to, but I advise it. So the next color we're going to use is Army Painter Uniform Gray. Now this will darken up the pants. So that gray is not dark enough for what I want. So we're just doing the pants with this. Carefully moving in here. This is where we can cut in on some of the red if the red went down into the trousers. Now we're going to use Army Painter Oak Brown to do his pistol. So at this stage, you can be a little rough with it. Just get that color in here. See, I like to work from, say, do the colors that are hardest to reach deep inside the model that are surrounded by other colors. As we go through, we just move out and away. It'll be easier to paint the glove white after I paint pistol brown, than to paint the glove white and try to get the pistol without touching the white of the glove. So think about the order you're going to put all the paints on. Alright, excellent. Now we're going to use some Army Painter Matte Black. Now you can see in the glove, same thing as with the pistol, you can see a bit of the grip, the handle, the sword. So we're going to get that now. We're also going to do the boots. Those are going to be black. Got the fringe of the helmet here. And the visor. Try to flip his little head over, so let's get underneath that visor. And then also need to do the plumage. These are riding boots, so let's gotta make sure we get them all the way around. Just work carefully. Now we're going to use a Army Painter Gunmetal. So I find where I put my brush. There we are. Alright, we're going to do everything. We're going to do silver and metal. This is going to be our base one. And then probably use some highlights to change the look. Because we don't want the blade in the silver of the breastplate to look the same. A little variety in our different metals. So we'll start with the Army Painter first for the gunmetal. It'll be our darkest one. Now for this one, we're going to want to hit. The barrel goes all the way around. We have the matchlock mechanism, the striker. A flintlock, not matchlock. Okay. Now I was looking at pictures of these guys, and there's scabbards. Also need to be a bright, shiny silver. So we'll go ahead and keep that going. Where I try to keep my brush in the same grip, go in the same direction. We move the model around the brush, not the brush around the model. Nice smooth strokes. Stay within the lines of the barrel. Okay, and doing the armor, just don't touch the black or the red. And we also have to do around the helmet. Fortunately, a lot of this detail is molded into the model. Now it's time to do some white. For that, we're going to use some mummy robes. This is an off-white. It will serve as a good base. And we'll carefully etch in around the gloves. You don't want to hit any of the brown for the flintlock pistol, trigger guard, or anything like that. So we carefully move around like that. And see, it's already starting to pop there. Now where else are we going to do? Tricky part's going to be the belt. Just put a little bit of paint just on the tip. Wipe the tip off. Slowly move the brush and the model counter to each other. Anything we overdo, we'll do a touch-up on. And we want to make sure to get a sharp, clean line between the blue of the uniform and the white of the gloves. Okay, now something we're going to do for this is, you see on his coatee, he's got some of the flaps turned back. So we're going to do those in white. It'll be for a very good reason we'll explain later on. Otherwise, we'll just go through here and make sure the gloves turned out portions of the coatee done properly. Oh, I remember what else has to be white. The straps from sword scabbard. Look that up in a lot of the artwork, they're white. so we'll do that. Okay, so just going around. Oh, I remember. Yeah. You just hit this color right here. If you're wondering, this is to help prep it to become yellow. Forgot to go and do this, but I'm going to go back to the oak brown. I'm going to go ahead and do his crucifix. Round sticks. If you get any white on the blue, don't worry, we're going to touch that up later anyway. And gently working around. Alright. They're all wearing religious symbols. Because they're hunting vampires. Okay, so I got that done. Now I'm going to get out the color for the twine there. To do around the rope, I'm going to use hemp rope. Do around his neck. See what's holding up crucifix and keeping it attached. So we're just going to put a little bit on the tip of the brush and glide it down over top of the rope. So give it that rough twine look to it. Alright, that's good. Got a little yellow tinge to it. Excellent. Now we're going to let that dry. Now we're going to take some Stirland Mud. We're waiting for everything to dry up. Get some of this up and we'll texture the base there. Now you can use PVA glue, Elmer's glue, whatever you want to call it. And just glue that on there, put a little sand, something grit like kitty litter I've heard some people use. I like using Stirland Mud. I think it dries a lot faster. I have a better sense of how it's working. Well, I can just push it around with the little sculpty brush here. It does take a while to dry though. Now since that Stirland Mud has to dry for a long time, now it's time to do something else that'll take a while to dry. So I like to time it up that when I'm ready to put a wash on, I put the Stirland Mud on. That way it can all dry together. So just take some of this. And this will go into all the little crevices of the model and darken down some of this stuff. This will help us get to the blue, to the color we want. Gotta be careful, don't touch the Stirland Mud or it'll get into the brush, and if you go back and touch the model, it'll just drag the mud back up into the model. Alright, I think we've got all the places I want. Alright, now we're going to let that guy dry for a long time. You can also put a fan or a blow dryer on him, but to each their own. Alright, we'll be back in a little bit. Everything's dried off, so now we're going to move over to Army Painter Tanned Flesh. We don't actually need that much of this, because you really can't see a lot of the skin on the Cavalryman. He's got mostly uniform. But we're going to go ahead, and since it's the most buried in there, I want to show that he's been on the mount. Yep, and we got a little bit of an ear hanging out over here. Alright, so we got the tanned flesh on there. Next we're going to do the gold. I'm going to start with Army Painter Greedy Gold. And a lot of this is the helmet. The little straps coming down the sides are gold. The comb, the helmet, also gold. And we get the little buckle. The straps for the breastplate. Once you start putting the straps for the breastplate in, it starts really coming together. And we just let the brush glide down. Remember, the straps go around to the back. We also want to get the sword here. Another spot I've seen in the art is to do the butt of pistol. There we go. Now I go around, make sure you check the other side of the helmet. Look at this, all touched up. And gold seems to take a little bit longer than some of the other paints. Oh, I remember what they had. So they had in the art, the trim of the visor was gold. So what I do is we'll just take the tip of the brush, the side of it, and just glide it around the brim of the helmet. I'll make some pop a little bit more. Now we're going to do some more detail points here. Get some Army Painter Elven Flesh. So I mentioned some of the parts are going to be in yellow. The Elven Flesh actually makes a good base coat for the yellow. So that'll be the color, because yellow is the traditional color of cavalry. And he's our heavy cavalry guy. We're also going to do the turn backs on the goatee. So yellow is kind of a tough color to do to get a pure portrayal of it. So that's why we worked our way up from the mummy's robe, and the Elven Flesh, and then we'll have a final yellow that we'll do. And just a lot of steady hand motions here. It probably wasn't steady enough, but we'll keep working on it. Okay, get that other color side. I'm going to turn back to the face here. I'm going to get some Army Painter Leather Brown, and we'll paint up the old hair and chin whiskers here. Kind of liked him as gray, but I want a younger Cavalier, a little less like Colonel Sanders here. There we go. And when I get the leather brown out, just do a couple touches on the cross here, get it to pop out a little bit. Right down the barrel there. I'll just give it a little contrast. Excellent. Now we're going to get the dry brush out. My thought here is to go back to the uniform gray that I did the pants in and get our dry brush and get wipe most of the paint off here. Just hit some of these raised surfaces, start cleaning it to the black of the boot. Just get to clean to some of these detail spots. There, and that gets the lines in the boot to pop out more. And then what we'll do is we go back to our pointy brush and just highlight some of the raised edges there. That way the detail of the sculpting will show out more. Go. Now we're going to shift back to the deep blue again. Remember, this is what we did the blue uniform in. I'm going to do what we kind of did with the gray, and we'll just, the idea is that the light is coming straight down, so all the parts that the light would spill over, put just a coat. And that means back here too. Excellent. Add a little bit of depth. Alright, now we're going to break out the Army Painter Shining Silver. What we're going to do is take that for the saber overcome some of that Nuln Oil there. Just hit like where the light shine and where it has a keen edge there, and we'll do see, just ran a little bit right there, and we want to catch the edge, this plate right here. That'll make it look like the light is pooling with the plate. You got to be careful at this point. So we'll put a little bit there, following the curve of the plate. There we go. Now while I'm at it, I'm going to get some of the gunmetal here, because I want the barrel of the pistol to be slightly different. So we get the firing mechanism, so we just do the original color back on top of it. There we go. But I want to go back to the shining silver. Forgot to do this patrol cap. There we go. I'm going to put just a little bit right there. There we go. Now he's looking shiny and cavalry. Now we're going to put another wash on this guy. We're going to use some Reikland Fleshshade. So this just won't be for the skin. What we're going to do is the gold pieces and the skin. I had to wait for that beard to dry. Then this is going to be more precise than our other wash. We use the Reikland on the gold. And the yellow. Yeah, if you're going to do a wash on a yellow, I don't recommend Nuln Oil. It just makes it look dirty, unless that's what you're going for. I recommend something in the brown, and the Reikland works well for that. So, doop. Doop. I think we got all the gold pieces here. We'll drop there, we'll drop there. Excellent. And this really goes into the curves of the gold, makes it pop out. Excellent. Well, now while we wait for the gold to dry in the skin, what we're going to do is use some Army Painter Pure Red. We're going to continue on with our edge highlights. So you notice as we go through this, we highlight and wash different parts of the model, then we give them all a chance to dry, and we just move on to a different part of the model there, so we can make the epaulettes really pop out. And don't forget to get any little ruffles down here. Just the edges of them. And the plume. There, excellent. Now we're going to go back to mummy robes here, and we're going to highlight the gloves. Do the same thing, just pick out some digits there. That way you can get a real sense of him gripping it. And you can always put a little bit more. Where the sun falls. So if the sun's falling there, then I think the gold's dry enough. We're ready to highlight it with Army Painter's Bright Gold. That'll be like the white, just a couple touches. We'll just do, using the side of the brush, we'll just do a little point on the brim where it's especially bright. And just a couple of the raised points, maybe a little dot on the buckle there, there. Just the edges of the comb. There we go. Now he's nice and shiny. As soon as we got that out of the way, I got some mummy's robe left. You see the art on these guys. There's actually a white trim to the red. So you're going to use just the very tippy tip of the brush, using the side of it, and just gently trace along the end. Just gliding there. That way it looks like it's a white band going around. And we'll, see, that's how you do it. You just use the side of the brush. And barely put any pressure on it. Just let the paint flow off. Touch the edges of the red to make the scalloping pick up the white for you. Let it do the work. Just a little patience here. You don't have to do it either. No one's going to notice in your games. Okay. Oh, there we go. I got the white trim. What else do I need? Clean that off a little bit. Okay, I know what I needed. I needed some skeleton bone. I'm going to take that skeleton bone, and you actually see the artist, the sculptor on this guy, actually put in the braids of the rope. So we're going to take, just like we did with the golds and the other ones, we'll just hit the top edges of that rope, the one we painted hemp, and just tap it with the side of the brush. Just little taps there. Now we can pull out that braiding. Now, as we continue with the highlighting, you can use some Daemonic yellow. We're going to go back to this Elven Flesh, and we're going to do like we did with the gloves. See how that yellow, normally if we just try to paint yellow on anything, it would hide, but with the layer of the mummy's robe, with the Elven Flesh, and then the wash, you can get a nice yellow color here. without putting big glops of yellow on, which happens a lot. See that with new painters. Of course, the tricky part is always the color. Nice thin bead on there. Cool. That's a little variation from the way they did some of the official art here. But this is, I found some pictures of this is what a Cavalier looked like. Get the yellow. We can just keep touching that. Use some Army Painter's Kobold skin, and we're going to just highlight the tips of the nose there. And cheekbones. Slipped a little bit. Got it on the gold. So we clean out our brush real quick, wet it, and we can kind of scrub it off. Get that ear. This part of the ear. There we go. The face is highlighted. Alright, now our final step here, since we're moving along, and take some crystal blue. And get that mixed up right here. And we'll just a slight little touch of it on top. Just use the side of the brush. There we go. And still maintain that dark blue. We get a little variation in color. You might want a wider variance, but that's up to you. Now the way we do it down here is we'll just take it, swipe, swipe. Be careful not to touch the yellow, it would be a pain to fix. Swipe, swipe, and just little runs. Like that. And there is our French Heavy Cavalier. Looking good. Well, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.